That's not to say that Donald Trump in 4 years can't make a very long lasting impact on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, Justice Sotomayor is not going anywhere. If you look at her recent opinions or listen to the oral argument, she's sharp as a tack. There's no reason for her to leave.
Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor is being pressured to step down from the Supreme Court and give President Joe Biden the opportunity to nominate a liberal replacement before Donald Trump's inauguration. But so far, according to the very individuals who are close with Justice Sotomayor, her take is no thank you. She intends to remain on the court. CNN spoke to someone close to her who said that she's in great health and the court needs her now more than ever. And the reason why her health is being brought up is because she does have type 1 diabetes and she is older, although she is not the oldest Supreme Court justice. She's 70 years old, and she's the most senior liberal on the Supreme Court. Now, Senator Bernie Sanders was asked about this whole theory about how she needs to resign and how she needs to be replaced in order to secure her position as a liberal justice, and he wasn't having any of it. It was an incredible exchange on Meet the Press. Take a look.
I do want to ask you about the Supreme Court. Some Democrats behind the scenes quietly talking about the possibility, should Justice Sotomayor step down, to allow President Biden to appoint someone who's younger. She's only 70 years old. Is that something that you would support? Do you think she should step down?
No, I don't.
Have you heard any talk of this?
A little bit, yes. I don't think it's a sensible approach.
And you don't think it's a sensible approach?
Correct.
Inject that attitude into my veins. That was great. And it was great because you can tell that Bernie Sanders is very hyper focused on fixing what's broken within the Democratic Party, their inability to represent common Americans, the working class Americans. And so these power struggles that are going on don't seem to interest him that much. But the idea, I agree with him, is not a practical idea. In fact, CNN reports that the process of moving a Supreme Court nominee takes considerable time, often several months. Even assuming there are no problems with a potential nominee, there is not likely enough time for Biden to secure a confirmation before the GOP takes control of the Senate in early January. So Cenk, I'm curious what you think. Clear no from Senator Sanders. Do you think that maybe a case can be made for Sotomayor to step down?
No, it's a terrible idea. So Bernie being that short with them is a result of two things. He thinks it's a terrible idea, but it's probably a colleague of his who came up with the idea. So he doesn't want to burn them too bad, so he gives his salty answer. Salty Santa's back too. And so he's like, no, not a good idea. Okay, but that's it, he leaves it there. I'll go further. You think these schmucks who run the Democratic Party are going to be able to confirm a justice in a couple of months?
Nope.
Are you kidding me? They're the most incompetent people on earth. They're just hand the Republicans and Trump another justice for no reason. So they couldn't get one appointed in a year. Look, do I know that the Senate composition is a little bit different now? Of course I do, right? And so, but do you think they have 51 senators for the next couple of months? You think they're gonna hold all their senators? You think they're gonna hold Manchin and Sinema and every other crook that's gonna ask for some sort of payback in that? There's no way they're gonna hold them.
There's no way.
No, they're a bunch of imbeciles.
And look, this is one story that helps to explain what the broader issue is with the Democratic Party. I don't trust them to get anything right. At this point, they are incompetent. They do bungle everything, and there are too many corrupt politicians within their ranks.
So I'll give you a perfect example, and it could end the conversation entirely if you're rational. So look, I often tell you guys, there's this great man mythology. Oh well, if they have this huge status, it must be amazing. And I tell you, no, they're largely just got there through corruption because they take the most donor money, et cetera. But also, they're not that competent at all. Their number one quality, like Trump's number one quality, is just marketing, right? Finds a spotlight and just says his name 2,000 times, right? Number one quality of Democrats is how do you please donors well enough to get a return on investment and get put back in. So I know the story of when they were voting on ending the filibuster. The key vote there was Joe Manchin. So what was Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader in the Senate, what was his genius idea on convincing Chuck Schumer to end the filibuster as Schumer claimed he wanted? He didn't talk to him. He didn't have any strategy. The strategy was, well, I hope Joe does the right thing.
Oh my God.
Okay, so if you think that Chuck Schumer actually wanted to end the filibuster and pass Biden's agenda, well, then you have to agree he's a world-class schmuck. So did that strategy of, golly gee, I won't talk to him or won't have any strategy at all, but I hope Joe Manchin does the right thing. Does that sound like the political strategy of a smart person or an utter imbecile? And so you think the party led by that guy is going to guarantee that with only 51 votes, they're going to hold them all and immediately, really quickly confirm a Supreme Court justice? There's no chance. And at the end, when you ask Chuck Schumer what went wrong, he'll be like, I don't know, I didn't talk to anyone and I didn't have a plan.
Part of the reason why Donald Trump was able to confirm literally hundreds of federal judges in his first term is because Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer made a deal with Mitch McConnell to fast track those judge picks by Donald Trump. Okay, so I don't even know if Chuck Schumer is genuine in what he purports to be, because he has aided and abetted the other side in the confirmation of hundreds of federal judges, which will have an impact on our judicial system for decades to come. And so I don't know, Cenk, if it's incompetence or if it's just an individual who doesn't really give a damn about fighting for what he purports to support. And so they like to fearmonger about Donald Trump, but if Trump has power, why do they aid and abet him? Why do they help him out? Why would you agree to fast tracking those federal judges? That's the real question. Now, the other thing I wanted to just quickly mention is there's a possibility that in his second term, Donald Trump will be able to have even more impact on the Supreme Court, because we have two Supreme Court justices who are definitely on the older end and could resign during Trump's second term. That's Clarence Thomas, who's a whopping 76 years old, and then there's Samuel Alito, who's 74 years old. There are more rumors in regard to Clarence Thomas potentially retiring under Donald Trump's watch, but if one of them or both of them retire, obviously it will further solidify the conservative, influence on the Supreme Court, right? And of course, Donald Trump is going to pick someone who's incredibly young, someone who could be on the courts for 40, 50 years. So that's what we're looking at right now.
And so that's why I voted against Donald Trump. That's why I encourage everybody to vote against Donald Trump. And unfortunately, we didn't win. And when you don't win, these are the consequences. So what you can't do is not vote or not care and then go, I can't believe they got the Supreme Court. No, that's the result of not voting, not caring, not voting against Donald Trump, et cetera. Look, if you're pissed at the Democratic Party, join the party. You're very, very late to it. We've been pissed at them for decades, and they're a terrible party. As I just explained, they're an incompetent party. They're largely a corporate party, but their Supreme Court picks are generally on the left and in favor of the Constitution and human rights. And at this point, the conservative judges are massively activist, reinterpreting the Constitution in insane, ludicrous ways. And actually, the most harmful is the corruption cases. I mean, they just made bribery illegal as long as you do it afterwards. So already infinite bribery in the form of campaign contributions was legal. Now you could just flat out give them money to put in their pockets right after the vote, and the Supreme Court is now calling that a gratuity. Well, I guess it is from the billionaire class. Here's your tip, politicians, for being good servants, okay?
No tax on tips?
Yeah, so the Supreme Court is gonna get way worse, way more corrupt. So remember that next time you're voting. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with these annoying, we got to take over the Democratic Party. We can't let them run another race because it doesn't even matter, because even if we convince you all to vote for Democrats and against Donald Trump or whoever the next guy is, they'd find a way to lose the race anyway, because they'd be like, oh, just like Kamala Harris did, wrap herself in corporate CEOs. and go out there and go, hey, I love big business. Everybody with me, right? As everybody heads to the exits. So beat him in primaries. For the next 3 years, all I'm going to tell you is we must win that Democratic presidential primary. If we don't win it, these guys will drive us off a cliff in every single election.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.